My name is Stephen Hansen. I'm the founder of StreamTECH. StreamTECH is a cloud-based business management app built to handle safety and compliance information, especially around the core audit. It's our belief to provide high-value software to companies that allow them to do their job better without necessarily trying to change the way they do their job. Basically, digitize your current workflows. As you can see here, we have both a web app as well as a mobile app that can be found on both the Apple App Store as well as the Google Play Store. When logging in and landing on the dashboard, your users are going to end up where they can get to most of their critical items without having to navigate directly to them. As you can see, your dashboard has a prominent search bar that allows you to search for things like documents, assets, or certifications, as well as a recently viewed area to show them what they've been viewing recently and allow them to navigate back to it. On the dashboard, we also have the Outstanding tab. The Outstanding tab shows what items are outstanding for that individual user to allow them to make sure that your company is compliant. So any certifications or inspections that they need to do, any tasks that they are assigned to, or any competencies they're lacking. Everything can be found right here. Drafts are any item that they haven't necessarily saved yet to the cloud. This is whether it's a form, an inspection, a maintenance log, all these items are found right here so they don't have to navigate too far for it. Their open items show any items that they have not yet submitted. So any forms that they're currently working on or any open HSE events. All these items are found here to make it very simple so that they can navigate back to what they're currently working on. And they also have their inbox. So this would be items that have been filled out and passed along to you for review. So if you have field users filling out a tailgate meeting, this is where you could review it if it was in your inbox. And lastly, we have their timesheet. So anytime a user is working within a timesheet, they can find their own personal timesheet right on the dashboard. This is where they can submit an overdue one as well as put in their hours. Clicking on any one of the days allows them for a simple start time and an end time, as well as optionally going into the workload shifts. So what our workload shifts are, is they pick their start time, and now we can add different shifts in through the day. So we could do field work, and we can type in a location or whatever we want to capture. Quick maintenance job. And then we can set the amount of time that this took. Now we can keep adding more tasks here to make sure that we do this. Clean shop. Now we can see the full day, what we worked, and how that looks. The next items that we'll go through is right down the list here. Announcements is pushing information out of the office and towards the staff. You can post things like your safety meetings, new policies, and anything you can think of. What's nice about this is you can have an attachment to show as well as see the statistics. So you can see who you assigned it to, if they viewed it, if they have signed it, and that type of information. As well, for your core audit, we offer a comment section. This is very key as it describes two-way communication for both to your users and then back to you as well. What's really nice about this is it's a great way to show your auditor all the things that you've been working on throughout the past couple of years, as well as make it very easy for you to see what is missing. The next item on here is the certifications. This shows you, as a user, your personal certifications and what you've been assigned to. So we can see here that I have an expired WMIS, but everything else is valid. When I go in here, I can go into my WMIS and I can choose to update it. And this is where I put in my new issue date, my new expiry date, as well as add the pictures of my certification itself. And I can also see any incomplete certifications that I have on my list. Going right along, we have competencies. Competencies are your policies, procedures, and practices that you can assign to specific users to be deemed competent to, as well as acknowledge. So this allows your individual users to actually sign off on the procedure that you have, so they can sign off on that acknowledgement, as well as get assessed on whether or not they're competent on that task. We also have document storage. The big key with document storage is allowing you to make sure that you have every document on every job site that you need, whether it's your standard operating procedures or your safety manual or the relevant legislation. This allows you one place to keep it all up to date. The other nice part about it is if you edit it, we can also choose to auto-save to users' devices. So regardless of the service, it is saved on their device properly. Every form or every document that you store here has permissions that match the folder that they're in. So if we create a folder like Safe Work Permits, we can also decide who can view this folder as well as who can upload into this folder. So that allows you to really make sure that each user is only able to access what they need. Every user will also have their own personal folder that you can put items into as well as see what they have in that document folder. The next item is tasks. Tasks are what they sound like. Whether you create them manually, have reoccurring tasks, corrective actions from hazards that have been reported, or work orders that come from an expired document on a vehicle or a piece of equipment. Every one of these can be assigned to people, which will end up in their dashboard in the Outstanding tab, and you can track to make sure that all these company tasks are getting completed. The big ticket item is our asset tracking. Asset tracking allows you to create categories and define what you need to track. When you add a category, you can start with a default type like vehicle and then see exactly what you're going to track. You can also track even more. Assets can have parent assets, or they can be sub-assets. They can have serial numbers, types, locations, hours, mileage, and you can add your own custom fields. When you define what each category has in it, that defines what the assets within that category will have with them. So in the vehicle category, if we click on our F550 crew truck, we can capture exactly the pieces of information that we want here. What's nice with the vehicle profiles is you can add a picture, you can add the information, and you can add any notes that you want with it. You can see the relevant recent inspections that have been completed, as well as track the maintenance that is happening on it. Also, over time, you can add parts lists to it. So you can add the parts, the part number, as well as where you get the part from. This makes it very easy to track a lot of information with your asset. Some other things you can track with it are things like the inspections. So you can assign specific inspections that can be performed on this asset, and those are all custom. So you can create your own pre-trip vehicle safety inspection that when you fill it out, matches what you're currently working with. When you're filling out an inspection, you have to put in a location, the date, and the mileage, and you can get all the relevant information of what asset it's being performed on, and you can fill out these. With each item here, you can click on the paperclip and add an attachment or a note. So if something has failed, you can add a quick note to make sure that everyone understands why that failed, or take a picture of it. Another thing we track is maintenance logs. So as maintenance is being performed on your assets, you can actually track that and add that in there. You can give it a title, description, who did it, what was the cost, and you can also clear up any deficiencies that's on it, as well as reset any of the maintenance schedules. Speaking of deficiencies, this is where you can track items that have essentially gone wrong with your assets. So, broken taillight, windshield is cracked, things like that. Documents is items that you want to store, so registration for vehicles, any certifications with that vehicle. The user manual is a great one to put in there. The maintenance schedule is what it sounds like. This is where you get to define what type of maintenance schedule is on each of these assets. So over time, as people are inspecting them and performing other duties on them, you get to track and see what's happening. And lastly is logs. This is exactly what it sounds like. This is a log of every single item that has been performed on this asset over time. So it gives you a master list of maintenance logs, inspections, deficiencies, realistically the whole story of this asset. And lastly, settings. So you can really set where this asset belongs, who can view it, who's in charge of this asset, as well as enabling features on it, or linking it to different inspections, anything like that. There's a lot of variety here, and we've built it to be as customizable as possible to really match what your company is already currently doing. So we can track things like safety equipment, we can track buildings, we can track realistically anything from heavy equipment all the way to vehicles. The next item here is inspections. So we have already talked a little bit about inspections on assets. We also offer general inspections. So these could be like, you know, a subcontractor checklist or a general inspection. These would be items like a worksite visit from management. We have the asset inspections here, as well as a list of any of the failed inspections. So if we quickly do an inspection here, and we fail a couple items, and we submit this, now we have a failed inspection on this list. To match up with core, we allow you to come in here and review this inspection. So this is where you're getting management review. So we can change it to a pass and file it. If it was failed in error, we can just file it away as we've reviewed it, or we can create that corrective action, which is a task, assign it to somebody, and then that's how you show that you went through the process of identifying a problem and assigning the corrective action and then fixing it. And lastly, you have all your submitted inspections. So as you can see here, we have one from May 27th as well as one from today. What's really nice about this is if you are doing this on your phone, it saves it offline and allows you to ultimately have access to that wherever you are for 30 days. So if you get pulled over by a DOT or another type of law enforcement officer, you have access to that inspection that you've completed. Next, we have forms. These are really like any digital form that you want to create. We can create it and allow it to work within our system. So we could have things like a tailgate meeting where you pick items from here. We can add in text. We can add in tables with rows and all these items. We can have signatures, really whatever you kind of need to have. We build it into our system. Next, we have jobs. Jobs is a collection of forms. So if I click on crew job and I look at some of these, we can see required forms to be filled out as well as optional forms. We can have tickets with these. The idea of a job is collect everything that StreamTECH is doing around this job that you're working on and bundle them together. That way you can ultimately find all these things very easily in the future. HSC events is exactly kind of what it sounds like. This is your hazard IDs, your observations, near misses, and your incidents. This is a very important feature if you have requirements around your safety reporting for your customers. However, this is less important if you are more reporting for just a core. You can still build these all out in forms, but the difference is the HSC events allows more tracking and statistics to be pulled out of the system, which is required for certain customers in certain industries. We have a scheduler and timesheet system that we kind of briefly talked about. The scheduler allows you to actually assign time to users as well as see any time off that they've booked. The timesheet feature allows you to set exactly what you have in your company as the rules and allows you to track that time via your users. So on the timesheet, your users can enter in their time, they can see their schedule with their booked off time, they can see their requests, so they can put in a new request for time off. So in this case, we could have brother's wedding, and the date range, let's say it's July 3rd to July 7th that we want off. So they submit that. Now what we can see from the timesheet manager is there's been a request that's come in. So we can see two different requests. There's the brother's wedding for July, and we can compare that and see, hey, does anyone have this time off already? And we can approve and reject it from there. So in this case, we can approve, and we can reject this one. Double booked. So now we have my requests. We can see we double booked here. This was rejected, as well as these ones are approved. And I can also see my time off history. You can see your full timesheet history of exactly what you've done. And lastly, we have a crew manager. So the crew manager allows you to have somebody in charge of a crew submit time for them, rather than having them submit time for themselves. What's really nice about the timesheets system is you can see who's working now. We can review those requests, but we can also set the company settings. So we can decide what our timesheet length is, what the date of the first one is, as well as any of the reminders, shift descriptions, how the users will enter it, how overtime works in your company, as well as having workload shift tags and daily add-ons. So we can actually edit these tags, and we can have things like shop work OT. This is always overtime or is overtime exempt. Next, we have tickets and invoicing. Tickets and invoicing is a simple system to build field tickets to get to the office in order for them to charge out the time and book the time essentially to a job. So when we build this out, we actually are able to build out your products and services. So you get to build in exactly what the employees would be charging out, as well as building out a price book. So price books are different price lists you have for different companies. So sometimes a customer might have a different preferred rate, and so this allows it, so when you're working for Allied Energy 2, it charges the Allied Energy 2 prices versus the CNRL prices. When you click into them, you can see the default price here, as well as the custom price for that specific user or company. We can also set exactly what fields you want to capture, any of the tags, as well as the workflow for each one of these. Lastly, we're going to just talk briefly about our safety data sheets feature. What this is we take the SDS sheets that you provide us with and we add them into our system. We make sure that we capture them from their source and we keep them up to date. So in this case, 1234, we get all the information and we keep this SDS rate on hand and always up to date. I know this was a very quick overview of StreamTECH, and you probably have a few more questions. Please feel free to reach out to me by email or give me a call anytime, and we can go over any of the questions that you have, and I hope that we can find a good answer to them. I appreciate all your time. Thank you very much.